This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Hello and welcome to the Research Talks from Stockbox with Alan Green. Alan, it's good to have you back. How are you doing?
Good morning, Mark. Yes, it's another sunny Friday here in Seaford. I can't believe the week's gone around yet again so quickly, but here we are. It's Friday, and it's looking forward to the weekend once again.
Yes, indeed. Well, you've got the sun. I haven't today, but I did have it yesterday. It was very nice and warm. But maybe it's gone your way today.
Oh, well, we had rain yesterday, so I think that's...
there you
go. We've swapped. We've swapped. So
exactly. We've swapped.
Pretty unseasonal weather, but then again, I think everything's lagged behind by about a month this year. So we're now getting April weather in May. So
exactly.
Seems to be.
Okay, so today you're going to talk to us about MetalNRG, who have had some recent developments just this week, and also Ananda, who've had a significant development this week as well, haven't they? So who did you want to start off with, Alan?
Well, let's start with MetalNRG, if that's okay, Mark. So this is the more I looked into it, MetalNRG, the more fascinated I became by the overall investment proposition, because they're spread across. We've talked about obviously gold mining companies with gold projects. We've spoken about, of course, oil exploration companies, and in particular onshore oil exploration companies in the UK, namely Union Jack Oil. But MetalNRG basically combines all of these and also has some additional investments as well in the green energy space with ECTEC, which of course are developing advanced gasification systems to create clean energy through burning refuse and biomass and so on. So they cover that whole spectrum. So what I'm going to do is just go through each of the projects and sum up the investment proposition at the end. But at the moment, the company has a market cap of just 5.5 million, or 5.4 million, in fact. Shares are trading at just below 0.6p, having traded as high as 1.43p on the year and as low as 0.4p. So really, it's a sum of the parts and nothing more. There's no premium in there, as far as I can see, for the potential on offer for the range of projects. So on its website, MetalNRG sums itself up as an investor into precious and strategic metals, but it's much more than that. So the primary project, which we're going to start with, is the Goldridge project in Arizona. And this is it's located south on the Dos Cabezos Mountains in Arizona, and the licensed territory covers 3 historic gold mines, namely the Goldridge mine, the Gold Prince mine, and the Dives mine. The area in total is some 2 kilometers by 5 kilometers, a 5-kilometer prospective vein. And as you'd expect with historical gold mines, there are tailings piles, and through analysis, these tailings piles have shown some pretty stunning gold grades. 115 ounces is anticipated to be there, and the average takings from those tailings was 3,949 grams per ton, which is an astonishing reading. But taken across the whole area, the prospective area, the average gold values at all levels, and this is through all the work done in all 3 mines, is between 0.05 and 6.5 grams per ton. So to just walk into the mines as they've done and take samples across across all the levels and to come up with that reading is pretty impressive by any standards. So, as you rightly said, Mark, we've had a lot of updates this week from the company. The company employed SRK Exploration to undertake the latest survey work, and this was, of course, announced on Wednesday this week. And the data review or the summary that SRK Exploration came back with said that on the basis of what they found, there was potential for discovery of further mineralization, and off the back of that, the collated data data suggests that or might confirm the presence of a bigger and more widespread gold system. So in other words, they have scraped the proverbial surface by going in there and taking the samples and analyzing the historical data. They've recommended a two-stage work program going forward, and of course, the team at MetalNRG are pretty fired up by the news, and I think it's what has surprised me, I think, more than anything, is that the share price simply hasn't reacted. There's no premium in this. When you look at what's happening with other companies, with gold projects in the States, for example, Lexington Gold has progressed nicely off the back of work and developments, and I would have expected more of a reaction. But that just says to me, at this level, it's almost a slam dunk. So that's the initial project. Before I discuss the others, just going to give a quick run through of the board. The CEO and the guy really driving the business forward is Rolf Gerritsen, 55 years of age. Rolf is a multilinguist. He speaks 4 languages and has over 30 years experience working on mining projects literally around the world: Europe, USA, Africa, Australia, Middle East, Far East, and South America. So vast experience. I've also seen Rolf speak at some of the investment seminars prior to COVID, and he's a very impressive speaker and articulates the investment case very well indeed. The chairman of the company is Chris Campbell, who's a chartered accountant in Zimbabwe. Chris was responsible for driving forward AFPEN, which is an entity that is developing Zimbabwe coal bed methane. So he's well accredited. Non-exec director also supporting Rolf day to day is Christian Schaeffleski. Christian's been around for many years. I know Christian on many other projects. Of course, Eurasia Mining is involved with, chairman at Kibo Mining, Blenheim Natural Resources, 40 years experience, and Christian brings an awful lot of perspective and context to the board. The most recent hiring was Pier Paolo Rocco, executive director for oil and gas, which I'll come on to in a second, and Pier Paolo has worked for Total, ENI, and Shell in the past, and has really been responsible for bringing the next project I'm going to talk to you about on stream. And this is BritNRG, so it kind of explains the NRG element of the investment proposition. So we've spoken about Union Jack Oil recently, and the onshore. The onshore wells that it's operating and has a stake in up in the Midlands, and of course Union Jack are focused on the East Midlands, Lincolnshire and Yorkshire around the Humber Bridge. BritNRG have 3 producing licenses in central Lincolnshire and 6 exploration permits. The Wisby wells, there are 2 wells at Wisby which are between them producing 55 barrels per day and 40 barrels per day, and the processed oil or the oil is then taken to be processed at the Immingham refinery, which the Union Jack Oil Investments also use for some of their their production as well. What BritNRG plan to do is to apply modern seismic and geology geology methods in prospecting and developing these sites. They plan to use these modern methods, which are not in use by the current operators. So they're bringing effectively modern oil and gas techniques and equipment and IT services into a relatively archaic production system. So that's it'll be interesting to see how that progresses. And we had the last update, of course, with the results announcement that was published a month or so ago. So the third project, which is MetalNRG, and this is a joint venture with ECTEC, and of course we've spoken about ECTEC before. They are pioneers in advanced gasification techniques and have numerous projects around the world and in Europe, and these are These are effectively systems that take waste energy and burn waste energy to produce syngas, which then goes on to power turbines and also provides byproducts as well. So the joint venture was announced earlier on this year. A special purpose vehicle was set up, and MetalNRG and ECTEC announced their first shovel-ready green infrastructure project in the UK and Europe, and that was also announced on Wednesday. The acquisition and recommissioning of a 1 megawatt waste-to-energy plant in Italy. And this plant will initially be followed by straw pellets and wood chips. Later on, it will take other biomass projects as well. And for an investment of €700,000, MetalNRG now holds 26.6%. It's expected that once the plant comes on stream in a year or so, it will generate annual EBITDA of €750 per annum. So that's once that comes on stream, of course, that will provide a solid income stream for the group to further develop other projects. So those are 3 diverse projects already, very much in green technology, onshore oil and gas, and mining. We then come to what are referred to as indirect investments by the company. The first one is a uranium project in Kyrgyzstan, which is effectively the Kyrgyzstan government imposed a countrywide ban on a project that's owned by mining company Invest Inc., or IMC for short. MetalNRG owns 9.9% of this investment, and the project has effectively been dormant after the countrywide ban was imposed. However, there has been a change of government in Kyrgyzstan, and if the government pay damages in respect of that investment to IMC, MetalNRG will receive the equivalent compensation based on their shareholding, which of course is 9.9%. And in a recent statement, they said that they were hopeful of a positive outcome with the new government. The final investment for the company was also abandoned. It's Lake Victoria Gold in Tanzania. Due diligence was undertaken in the year, and the company announced that it had decided to abandon the investment due to some issues being thrown up in the due diligence process. And on the back of that, MetalNRG had made some investment into the project, so the monies invested into the project were converted to 3.8% equity in the overall project. So if it is developed by another operator or by another investor, then of course that shareholding will stay in place. So to date, the numbers for last year, obviously, companies operating at a loss because there's no cash flow at the moment. Effectively, a full year loss of 810,000, increase on the previous year. But across this range of investments, the company has raised money to fund these, and it looks to be at a very, very exciting juncture because any one of these 3 projects could burst into life at any point. So yeah, at 5.5 million. It's just basically taking into account the paperwork that's been completed to date, and there's no premium at all for any upside as far as I can see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that they are at a juncture here where they could, as Rolf was saying in an interview recently, they're an investment company picking out what they feel are, valuable investments, and the oil one will be generating revenue in the near term, and of course the recent deal with EQTech. As well will be generating revenue, so that they really are spreading across different sectors, aren't they? In the sort of exploration and energy as well space, and I think it's an interesting time to be watching that company, I think.
Well, it is, and I think we've seen a lot of notable successes with projects and energy investment companies, mining investment companies. We've of course spoken about Trident Royalties. that invest into projects in a different way to generate income. And then, of course, previously Cadence Minerals, which has the Mapa iron ore mine in Brazil, and then a number of lithium projects and an investment directly into the market, holds 11% of European Metals Holdings, and that's the Sinofec lithium project. So Cadence has made that model work very well. And I think the spread of investments that MetalNRG have offer similar huge potential, except Cadence now is trading on a market cap of some 30 to 35 million, and MetalNRG is just at 5.5 million. So it's and I think with any one of these three key projects set to burst into life at any point, any news is going to drive the share price further north. That's for sure.
Great, perfect. Thank you. That's MNRG there. So. Ananda Developments next, Alan?
Ananda Developments. So, yes, of course, we've spoken about Ananda recently. This is an Aquis-listed company. ANA is the EPIC code. And, of course, we are hearing all the time about the development of cannabis for medicinal purposes and the growth in this field. And, of course, equally with that, the challenges posed by various governments around the world, some of which accept it and have legalized it, and some of which haven't. But the UK government are taking a positive stance on developing medicinal cannabis in the UK, and there are several companies poised to take advantage of that. But what I think is interesting about Ananda Developments is the spread of operations it has to enable the company to take advantage of this increase in or the growth in medicinal cannabis in a number of different ways. So some data that was provided by the company recently showed that last year more than 37,000 cannabis-based projects were imported into the UK between March and September last year, compared to literally a tenth of that, less than a tenth of that over the previous year and a half. The patients are growing. The cannabinoid patients in the UK are growing some 20% per month, and of course, these the medicinal cannabinoid is used to treat conditions including pain, anxiety, depression, neurological disorders, and of course it has a raft of palliative care applications as well. We know a lot of cancer patients take cannabis-based products to relieve pain. So plays a very, very important role in that regard. So for Ananda, the big news for the company has been the development of a facility in Leicestershire to grow medicinal cannabis under control conditions and develop for a number of applications. And of course, this is in a statement this week, Ananda said that the products containing levels of THC and CBD with a range of cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids would be used to focus on treating neuropathic pain, epilepsy, Parkinson's disease, and systemic sclerosis. So very much a scientific approach. So early this year, Ananda raised 300,000 for two investors to fund phase one of a growing facility in Leicestershire, which is being undertaken with as a joint venture with a company called DJT Plants. The delay really has been due to COVID, of course, the company receiving the approval and the license to grow medicinal cannabis, and it received that license this week, and of course that's a massive step forward for the company. I'll just give you some data on the company in terms of its market cap at present. The company is currently worth 6.8 million. So it's a very small market cap comparatively speaking. Shares have traded as high as 1.5p and as low as 0.2p on the year. Currently trading at a mid price of 1.1p. So just off year highs. So the facility in Leicestershire, it's a 2,000 square meter greenhouse with what's referred to as a modular breeding facility. And of course, because it's growing medicinal cannabis, there are security. There's a security and monitoring program, 24-hour in place to monitor and ensure that the growing process is undertaken and adheres to a strict operating code. So the that's the key development for the group. I suppose a lot of investors listening to this might take the view that it's a slow burn investment, if you excuse the pun. But the company DJT Plants, which is developing the facility with Ananda, worked with a company called Anglia Salads to grow medicinal cannabis for GW Pharmaceuticals some years ago. So they've got a ton of experience in the field, and of course they are acutely aware of the code of conduct in regard to developing a plantation like this. So there'll be more news on that, of course, as the plantation is developed and starts to grow cannabis. But Ananda isn't a one-trick pony by any means. It has two other key investments. The first one is in Israeli cannabis, or ICANN as it's called, where it has just under 1% of ICANN, which is a medicinal cannabis incubator and conference company. Now, ICANN has been undertaking some limited online conferences and webinars during the COVID period, but prior to that, it ran a number of events around the world and was very successful in bringing awareness of cannabinoid and CBD products to the mass market, along with the investment potential for investors and institutions. So into it, the company invested into some 460,000 into that company and holds 180 shares, as I say, just under 1%. The second company is Liberty Herbal Technologies, or LHT. Now, through an investment into the group, it owns 15% of the company, has a board seat, and Liberty Herbal Tech is primarily involved in developing a product called HAPAC, HAPAC, which is a vaping product and a dry herb vaporizer. And I think I had told this story before, but I went to a presentation by this company, and also the presentation was being conducted by Melissa Sturgis, who is the CEO of Ananda Developments, and she's also she also has a very solid reputation in the city for bringing new technology and companies into the market. She's also involved in the mining field too. So Melissa bought the team in from Liberty Herbal, and they bought this vaping device. And effectively, it's a little blue device, and a little door opens, and you insert into it what can be effectively described as a mini tea bag, but you're putting medicinal cannabis into the bag, or medicinal cannabis is in the bag, goes into the HAPAC vaping product, and you can vape cannabis. And I had a go, and it was very relaxing, and very it was an ethereal experience, shall we say? But
Good.
but they are developing the HAPAC technology and the HAPAC products, and looking to distribute further afield, and looking to launch the offering in the US. So there will be some news on that in due course. But at every stage, Ananda's strategy is to they have the production facility now, the Home Office approved production facility in Leicestershire to grow medicinal cannabis. They have a stake in ICANN, the company that effectively is going out and making the world, the institutions, political bodies aware of the advantages of medicinal cannabis, cannabinoids, and CBD and so on. And they also have the stake in Liberty Herbal Technology, which is a way of legally smoking medicinal cannabis or vaping medicinal cannabis, and it's a very novel and unusual take. But really, at 6.5 million, there's very little upside priced in at present, and I think once the facility in Leicestershire comes on stream, I think we're going to see great things from this company before the end of the year.
Yes, and it was a real milestone week, isn't it? I think that took both Ananda and investors by surprise with the granting of the Home Office license. But that's a major milestone and step forward in that company's development. And they've got it. They've got a license to, as Melissa says, break the law and grow cannabis. And it's a fantastic moment for that company.
It is. I think certainly the inference from the company earlier in the year was that the license that they'd gone through all the necessary hoops to secure the license. So it was great that it arrived, but I don't think they anticipated too many problems because all the boxes had been ticked. And of course, with the JV partner DJT plants having grown for GW Pharmaceuticals historically, the company very much aware of all the hoops that they need to jump through in order to get an approved facility. So it's great though. It's a huge step forward for the group, and yes, it's being an investment company. I would expect to see other investment opportunities arise as the company goes forward.
Yeah, there's definitely one to keep a close eye on, particularly if they're going to start actually growing the stuff and really starting to motor on, I think. And there aren't many investment opportunities in that space. Of course, listed on Aquis, aren't they? But it's easy to trade on Aquis, just like any other exchange in the UK.
It is, yeah. I mean, Aquis has made great steps forward. Connecting with all the key brokers to ensure that they can trade Aquis stocks for their clients. And of course, the volumes this year have gone through the roof for Aquis, which is great news too. And as it should, it's a great little exchange.
And attitudes are changing, I think, with cannabis as well, aren't they, Alan? Would you agree that people are not? You've still got the maybe my parents' generation who are a bit sort of, I'm not sure about that. But attitudes are definitely changing. The United States is legalizing in certain states. It's going to be just a normal thing, I think, one day that is prescribed in the course of medication and also equally probably for recreational use as well. And I just think that, you're almost at a similar point if you want. I can't really compare the two, but as the sort of crypto space is now, where you're seeing lots and lots of things happening, I think you're going to see a few things happening like that in the medicinal cannabis space on the exchanges.
I completely agree. I mean, on the medicinal front, there is overwhelming evidence supporting the efficacy of cannabis-based medicinal products. That there is absolutely no doubt, and we personally know people that are taking CBD products to alleviate pain in palliative care. So its efficacy is absolutely established, and there are countless medical journals supporting that fact. So it simply can't be ignored. And on the recreational front too, where you are, Amsterdam, it's been legalized for years, and of course, the cafes that you can go into and just have a smoke. I think there are issues with overuse, of course, and as you say, the older generation might take a bit of a dim view, but we're progressive. We have to be, and I think if it's made available, then it'll be used in moderation. Well, one hopes it'll be used in moderation. It'll actually save an awful lot of time and energy within the legal system too, because so many people are prosecuted for for something that really isn't. It's not a serious crime.
Not that, yeah. And I mean,
well, it's a crime because the law says
because
so,
the law says it is because of prohibition. Yeah, but if it was regulated properly and gone through the whole legal system, then the government could actually cream off the top, couldn't they, as well, with the tax revenue they'd get from it.
Well, of course, yeah. That's the thing. There are opportunities for the government to generate revenues from this. So they have to be pragmatic.
Yeah.
So,
There was a podcast we did with Maple Tree Developments, who Hannah Deacon, who was a little boy suffering from epilepsy. She was sort of in the news fairly recently, and they work with Melissa, and they've released a paper for the government, the financial benefits of medicinal cannabis. So yeah, it's worth a listen to that podcast, or even reading that report on their website, just to get an idea of there are real benefits here. It's not something to be scared of, and yeah, a great investment opportunity as well. And Alan, if you ever fancy coming over here before it's all allowed in the UK, and having a relaxing weekend, you are more than welcome to come and visit me.
Right, I'm booking my passage on the Eurostar now. I'll be there.
Yeah. Right. Well, on that note, thank you very much, Alan Green, again for talking to us there about the investment case for MetalNRG and Ananda Development. And we'll catch up again in a week's time.
Thank you, Mark. Speak next week.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.